So in my work days recently have been a lot of drawing, which means I get to cram just a lot of
That sounds
bad
nice.
TV into
That
my.
sounds great.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Uh, but the anime I picked this week was My Dress Up Darling, which I must admit I have only seen 10 episodes of because that's all that was dubbed. There's still 2 episodes left in the season. I didn't actually watch all 12 episodes,
Mhm.
but it wasn't for lack of trying. I just can't watch the sub and work at the same time, so it
Yep.
just doesn't
Yep.
happen.
This is a huge limiting factor for me in anime.
Hmm. Uh, However, this anime did somewhat surprise me in how cute it was. I knew it would be cute. It's,
I'm.
but I mean,
I wish. Okay. Wish I had a face cam right now for the face I'm making based on that statement.
is it? Describe the face.
The face is. What was the fucking name again?
My dress up darling.
That was the face I was making. My dress
I
up darling, and you say cuter. D- d- Go on, Kyle. Go on, please.
So, basic setup is it's about a high school kid who's really into making Hina dolls, specifically sewing the clothes for them. He meets the most popular girl in school who is really into cosplay. It's a match made in heaven. They're just immediately a couple.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very cute. It's sort of edutainment, like a little bit of talking about how to like get into cosplay and how cosplay works, and that's kind of cool. I know a lot of people are into cosplay, and I'm not super into it, but I've like thought about dabbling in it before.
I have
Um,
I have cosplayed a little bit. I like costumes on occasion. You know what? When you were talking about Halloween and anachronistic, I was like, yeah. And I
uh,
like looking at cosplay because it's pretty.
Cosplay is very pretty.
All of it.
Uh,
Okay. Do you know one of the hottest cosplays I've ever seen?
yes.
It was a lady who I'm going to guess was about 45 years old. With just muscle. And long black hair, cosplaying as Tifa Lockhart. And
Nice.
it's like, you look like you can punch a bitch.
That's strong.
She looked like a powerful, attractive, middle-aged fucking fight lady. She legit looked like she was like a real pro martial artist. I think she was herself white, but had kind of tanned skin, and long black hair, and gosh, she was in shape. She was in such shape. And yeah, that is middle-aged Tifa Lockhart. That is absolutely so good. I've never forgotten that one.
So the thing I find particularly interesting to talk about this anime is about the main girl in the show, who, yes, they have put a lot of money into making her cute, but I've thought a lot about why she is like such an immediately likable, like crush-onable character, and why, of course, main character boy falls for her like immediately.
The
And
science of waifu, if you will.
it's not even quite that.
Okay, go on.
It has to do with a conversation we had earlier in the week about specifically a post you mentioned about from a transmask person.
I
Who,
adore that post.
yeah.
Yeah, break it down for those. Yeah, to catch everyone up.
So the long and short of it is it's someone who's like experiencing transitioning from identifying as female to identifying as male, or rather presenting as such, and how he has identified a sort of coldness that kind of goes over people towards men. And it's something I've like this isn't the first person who has noticed this. It's something I've thought about a lot, but a sort of idea that people, in not just women, men as well, are on edge around other men. There's always a perceived threat there.
We don't like each other by default,
yeah.
and we're trained.
and it's something that no one really willingly keeps up, but it
Mhm.
is kind of necessary because frankly there are a lot of dangerous men out there,
Yep.
and it is sort of a self creating problem. It's definitely a vortex. A lot of studies are out there about like how men are just, especially in America, are just fucking touch starved, and that is not healthy for the human brain. Uh, the whole post kind of comes down to no wonder we're like this. Um, and the reason why best girl from this show is so immediately likable is she at no point ever puts up that armor that everyone has,
Hmm.
which isn't exactly realistic.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And it actually got me thinking about a whole thing about the manic pixie dream girl archetype and why
Which we were,
that is
Kimmy
such
was
a
talking
thing.
about this. I think it was a couple Tuesdays ago.
Hmm. I must have missed that.
Yeah,
But
it's about the movie Stargirl.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
But like I understand the like there's a lot of stuff about that archetype that aren't healthy, but I think the core of it, the reason why even I still like that archetype, um is because that type of character does not wear that armor. That's kind of the whole point of them, is the quote free spirit is not beholden to the generationally trained
You just
wall.
put a thought in my brain.
I am curious to hear you elaborate if you are comfortable with it.
I like strong girls.
Mhm,
I think that's hot.
mhm,
And I'm particularly fascinated by women who are on the small side, but also on the strong side.
mhm,
Uh, there's a thing that makes me uncomfortable in the media, and it's this idealization of a weak girl,
mhm,
of a vulnerable girl, of a um I'm going to go so far as to say a lady who is comfortable with being a victim in the scenario. And I think this trope has its roots in assholes, especially in all right, can I finish or something? Um Especially assholes in Hollywood who greenlight movies who feature these characters because that's the kind of ladies they like because they are abusive pieces of shit. But not just Hollywood. Anime, you've got your vulnerable like waifus. You've got your blushing maiden girl or what have you. This celebration of innocence. This idealization of weak and vulnerable. The idea that you put in my brain that I kind of like, and I don't know if it's the case in the anime that you're describing. Um, but if it is, I really like it. Is this notion of a character, a woman, who doesn't wear the armor because she's strong.
mhm,
And so rather than a character who is unarmored and vulnerable and can be taken advantage of, a character who is unarmored because they are confident and strong and capable of dealing with the the issues, the mans of the world, and being like, I can deal with you, shut up. And so they don't have that armor because they don't need it. That's hot.
mhm.
That's not
pretty
real.
cool.
That also, let's be real, not realistic.
Mhm,
Because as we mentioned earlier, the reason that armor exists, the reason like these social constructs are so prevalent, is because real and actual danger is in the world.
mhm.
But that
And it's also
notion,
not only that, but it's also something kind of generationally trained too. It's not someone doesn't just decide, oh, I'm not going to wear this armor now. The same way I don't like, I'm just going to decide to be comfortable around people. It's not a thing that
Yeah.
you
I
can
mean,
just turn on.
a whole conversation I could have about like the fucking work I put in. Like I'm pretty comfortable around people because I put some fucking labor into it. It was work to build up like and I'm still not perfect. I could still be in a situation where like I can't right now.
That is, yeah. But yeah, it was very interesting to sort of watch the show with that lens and be like, this girl is just so immediately friendly and likable and gets along with him before she has any romantic feelings towards him. And of course, he naturally immediately has romantic feelings towards her
As
because,
you do.
well,
As you do, as you actually do.
He doesn't have the fucking armor on that makes you realize, oh, this person's probably not like wanting to be around me at all. And the sort of thing that he like has to keep snapping himself out of that thought process because that's just how he's used to people being. Like,
No, it relates to me because I am pretty socially practiced at this point. I hold back when I'm around a lady I find attractive because I don't want to presume. I'm very fond of knowing. Having the conversation. Hey, I like you. Do you like me? Yes. Great. Let's start dating. Or, hey, I like you. Do you like me? Not really my thing. Cool. I've literally had that conversation with two people I have in mind. One I dated, the other I didn't and stayed friends with. Turns out you can actually just do that. It's not actually that big of a deal. But I do refrain from having that conversation because it's like, well, I don't know. And it's a hard conversation to have, even if you're confident with it.
I am very much in a position in my life where I'm kind of tired of losing friends because I've developed feelings for them.
Yeah, I've been through that. Overjoyed is literally about that.
Well, yeah, but part of the problem is that like throughout my whole life, I have tried to keep a bundle on my feelings until I know for sure they feel the same back. Except I've literally never been in a position where I know 100% they feel the same back.
I hope it happens for you sooner than it happened for me, because it took a while for that to actually happen in my life.
There's that. There's also simply the fact that, like, part of what I do when I do this is I don't send out signals that I'm interested. And I do wonder, like, how am I even supposed to... How would someone be interested in me if I give out zero... If I give off the chemistry of a stone? Like, I don't know how that can comfortably develop.
You and I have talked about this a lot offline, and I think a lot, like in the wake of episode 11, far be it from me to say like tone it down or hold back. But what I will say is from my experience, the blunt, confident, hey, I like you, do you want to date, was a very successful measure for me. In one very specific circumstance, the answer was, nah, not really into it. And that person is still my friend to this day. And in another very specific circumstance, had an awesome relationship, a healthy relationship. It had a beginning, a middle, and end. But it was my first truly, wholly healthy relationship. I can't tell you what to do.
The problem with me is I've somewhat had an opposite experience in that it started out like good, like I had a couple of early successes with that approach, and since then I have only lost friends doing it. It just
that
stopped
sucks
talking to me.
But yeah, that sucks. Um,
It's-
can't. Yeah. Can't help with that. But
Yeah.
hey, let's talk about anime.
Let's talk about anime. It was a very cute anime. They do cute cosplays. It does, cute rom-com sexual tension really well. It was a fun time. On the completely different spectrum, I started catching up on Attack on Titan.